This video was brought to you by Taha7538. So Taha, thank you for your idea. And to the rest of you, I hope you enjoy this video. So yeah, we're talking about interesting and unique fragrances, at least in my opinion, the most interesting and unique fragrances from 8 different brands, well-known brands. And some of you may have been wondering why I've been doing a lot of top 8s, because I'm a try hard and I'm trying to not do 10s because everybody's doing 10s. I'm trying so hard to be different. Now, there is an immeasurable number of ways that we can define interesting or unique. If we're going to start with scent characteristics as our measurement, then we'll be here all day. I don't have all day, and neither do you. Rather than begin our focus on the fragrance side of the fence, let's start it on the people side of the fence. What do people think of these fragrances? What are they saying about them? Are they widely popular? Well, you and I both know that unique seldom, if ever, equates to popularity. Unique is rarely for the masses. Let's instead ask these questions. Are they polarizing fragrances? Meaning, are there people who love them and hate them? Are these fragrances widely misunderstood by most people? Maybe they're not objectively bad smelling, but they are just catering to a very niche taste. Or perhaps they are under-discussed or mostly unknown altogether. You see, now we're cooking with grease. Obviously, interesting and unique does not always translate to good, at least not to a majority of people. But most of the fragrances that I'm sharing in this video, I enjoy. Although there may be 1 or 2 that I don't necessarily enjoy, but I can appreciate them for their interesting and unique quality. We have 8 well-known brands, what I observe and believe to be the most unique and interesting offering from that brand. We'll be examining why these fragrances are interesting and unique. But one generality I will make is that all of these fragrances have scents that do not seem to closely resemble any other fragrance from another brand that came before them, although they might have offspring. Now, I hope it is implied that this is limited to my experience. I haven't smelled everything out there. So you might choose alternate fragrances that I simply haven't tried. If you believe you have even more unique or interesting offerings to share for each brand, you know what to do with the comments. But in the meantime, let's dive right into it. Let's get this obvious one out of the way. From the house of Gucci, easily the most polarizing fragrance that they've ever released. And again, this is not speaking from having tried every Gucci fragrance ever, but I think it is safe to say that this one is the poster child of polarization for Gucci. We have Guilty Absolute. Now, when you smell this, you know why that people may not like it. Now, those of you who do like it, I think even you can understand how someone might not. I'm one of those people. I love this fragrance. I love this slightly medicinal, masculine, dry, leathery, woody, cypress fragrance. Earthy, it's authoritative. It is just a statement maker of a scent. It's not mass pleasing at all, not even a little bit. And I respect that. It's not trying to be. So this is simply polarizing. And I think when you have something truly polarizing, I think that is a sign of something different, of something unique. If everyone likes it, is it really unique? Again, as we kind of established earlier, most of the time, unique is not for the masses. So just by that fact alone, this is what I believe to be the most interesting fragrance from the house of Gucci. Not the most wearable, obviously not the most likable, but definitely the most interesting. So if you've been sleeping on this, get it while you still can. It's discontinued, it's still out there, I think for decent prices, but time will definitely run out for this one at some point. That's Gucci Guilty Absolute. I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. Up next is a fragrance that I don't necessarily love yet. I need to give it a chance. My intention is to come back around to it now into the winter, because when I first tried it during the summertime, it was not a summer fragrance, even though I did try to sniff it, not from up close. Something about the warmth of just where I live was not working for this scent. But this is the newest from Amouage, at least at this point in time, and they call it King Blue. Now, this is a great example of a polarizing fragrance. In fact, maybe leaning more towards the people who don't like it. I think there's more of that going on. I read a lot of reviews about this scent. I did do a live stream when I unboxed it. I wasn't totally sold on it yet, but I didn't hate it. But I've seen a lot of people saying, how could anyone wear this. That is the general consensus I've seen, and I have seen a few people saying, you guys are crazy, this is beautiful, this is a masterpiece, it's incredible. Again, polarization at its finest. Having not smelled this for a few months, at least smelling it from a tester strip, I'm really enjoying it, but I still need to wear it. I haven't given it a full wearing away from my nose and face, just smelling it around me. But I think what turns people off the most about this one is it's very real and natural oud oil that's in here. Now it is mixed with some cooling, sweet, resinous incense, maybe with a little bit of citrus and some other things. I haven't really looked at the notes in some time, but it is interesting. And when you just kind of get the vibe in the air, it comes across as a very elegant, luxurious fragrance and even pretty wearable. But if you are just trying this for the first time, putting it on your hand, smelling it up close, good luck. I don't advise that with any natural oud oils. Highly misunderstood. I plan to understand it a little bit better as we move into the colder season. But let me know how you feel about it if you've tried it. Amouage King Blue. Let's talk about Killian. This is what I believe to be one of the most unique offerings that the house has ever put out. Also one of the most misunderstood. It is not all that unknown, but there does seem to be a majority of people who don't really like this fragrance. This was love at first sniff for me, so it is a love it or hate it. I didn't make myself love it. My brain just found it to be something that it likes. This is Straight to Heaven. I love Straight to Heaven. A lot of people call it one-dimensional. They say it doesn't really evolve. They say it smells unwearable and weird. Again, the sign of a polarizing fragrance, also the sign of a unique and very interesting fragrance, because people are having these strong reactions to it, and not in a way of like it's not well done. I think it is well composed, and most importantly, I think something that makes it so unique is that there was nothing quite like this before it came out in 2007. Now you have other fragrances, one in particular being Ursa from Tiziana Terenzi, which I have not tried. A lot of people say, dude, you should try Ursa. It's way better. I'm sure it's really nice. I'm not completely sold on the house of Tiziana Terenzi just yet, but I will come around to Ursa someday. But this is the OG. Without this, there probably would be no Ursa. Let's be real. So I really appreciate this stuff, and I actually do love it. This is rum, patchouli, cedarwood, dried fruits. It is damp, earthy, kind of sweet in this, again, not juicy way. It's like pruny kind of fruits, but it's soaked in rum. In fact, I'm gonna spray this in the air. I don't know what it is. I just love it. You do have to love patchouli though. This stuff just moves me. It moved me from the first time I ever got a sample like 5 or 6 years ago, and I still love it to this day. But very polarizing, and for that reason, I think it is one of the most interesting fragrances the house has put out. Again, that does not equate to wearability or likability, but I love it. Straight to Heaven from Killian. Now, if we're gonna talk about the house of Dior, we have to talk about this fragrance. I was almost going to pick Fahrenheit, and Fahrenheit is a fragrance I used to actually not like, but now I do like it. I don't love it, but I like it. There's nothing about it I dislike. It just doesn't like move my soul and transport me. I like the parfum a little bit more. I think this fragrance is even more polarizing than Fahrenheit, even more interesting, even more kind of groundbreaking, and changed the course of male fragrances and perfumery forever. Using the note of iris. This is Dior Homme. Dior Homme, man, masterpiece. Timeless masterpiece, very polarizing. I hated this when I first smelled it. I love it now. No one ever thought that you would have a powdery, waxy iris freshened by clean lavender with a chocolatey, leathery, dry cacao base as an Homme scent. Really strange. Again, came out of left field. As far as I know, I don't think there's anything like this. Put an iris at the front of a men marketed fragrance. So I think no matter what Dior does from henceforth, unless they really reinvent the wheel, this is still, I believe, the most seminal and interesting and unique creation that has ever come out of the house in modern times. And it's totally timeless. It will last forever as long as they keep producing it, of course. But nonetheless, this scent profile is transcendental. I truly believe that. That is Dior Homme. Let's talk about the house of Raja Parfum. Raja Parfum, this fragrance, I'll be honest, I do like it. Actually, I like it quite a lot, but wearing it is a little bit much for me because it's so strong. It's actually a little overwhelming. I can barely wear 2 sprays at a time, and even then I have to be outdoors and letting the wind take it. If I'm inside, I'm choking myself. But beyond all that, it's a beautiful fragrance that smells like nothing else out there. This is Sweet Tea Oud. Again, the most unique fragrance I think the brand has put out. I was thinking about possibly Midsummer Dream, which is beautiful, a very unique take on the sheep, but I do think that this edges it out in terms of uniqueness. Again, nothing like this. This is like, you look at the notes and it kind of looks like it could be a rose oud, and technically is, but it's more than that. It is like a warm baked pastry with fruit. It's bready, it's quite sweet, almost dessert-like. It's incredible. It doesn't smell overly of rose nor oud, but it's in there and you can definitely tell it creates the character of the scent, but it's kind of surrounded by this very definitive and specific personality that, again, I've smelled nowhere else aside from clones. Easily can say this is the most unique and interesting fragrance from the house. Again, may not be the most liked or wearable, and it's not my favorite, but I do like it and I can appreciate it. Nishan. This was the first fragrance I tried from the brand. I think it still stands as the most unique I've tried thus far. It smells like nothing else, truly, other than its flanker, which came out in the past year. This is called Fan Your Flames. And this was also love at first sniff. It is a love or hate it. And again, for some reason, my brain was like, ooh, we like that. This is like a smoky hookah with like a creamy, sweet tonka bean, a dry woodiness, coconut, some very audacious, extravagant rum. When you spray it on, there's this tropical drink vibe, but it's kind of dark, ambery, sweet, smoky, and woody. The smokiness, I believe, comes from this earthy tobacco that is beautiful. Such a unique concoction of notes you would not expect to work, and they do work, but a lot of people don't like this. I've heard people say it smells like Play-Doh or something like that. I don't get that vibe at all. I think this is beautiful stuff, and there's nothing like it other than clones, and again, the X version, which I haven't tried, but I hear it's pretty similar. That is Fan Your Flames from Nishan. This fragrance from Zerof also happens to be what I believe to be one of the most underrated fragrances from the brand, and I recently did a video on underrated fragrances. You can check it out here, but I also believe it's one of the most interesting and unique because of the fact that it's mostly unknown, it's overlooked, and maybe there's people who just don't really understand it, especially in the context of the rest of the collection it comes from. This is called Zerof from the 1861 collection, from the collection that brought you Renaissance and Naxos and the even lesser discussed Decas, which I haven't really spent a lot of time with, so I can't speak on it that much. Obviously, Naxos gets the most talk, Renaissance is not too far under that, and Zerof is hardly a whisper next to those two for whatever reason, but this is a very wearable, fresh, elegant but complex and beautiful incense fragrance. You do have to like incense. It might remind some people of church. If you grew up smelling a lot of incense, you're gonna get that vibe in here, but it is kind of bright, sparkling white wine quality to it, but it is mostly a wispy, cooling, sweet, resinous, but fresh incense fragrance that is simply beautiful. It's actually quite versatile for being an incense because of its light profile, and I don't mean in performance, it performs just fine, but it could be a head scratcher for some people. I do think it's one of the most interesting incense fragrances I've tried, and once again, one of the most interesting fragrances to come from the house, again, that I've tried. That is Zerof. And finally, from the house of Cartier, this is Declaration Parfum. The only thing that this smells like is its predecessor, the Eau de Toilette. And nothing truly smelled like the Eau de Toilette before it came out, but there are some other fragrances that are a little bit peripheral to it that kind of take the limelight away from Declaration. Stuff like Narciso Rodriguez Bleu Noir. But I think the Parfum version solidified that DNA, made it even more rooted in what it is, made it more confident in what it is, gave it more of an identity, and therefore set it apart even more from anything else out there, especially from the brand itself. This is not a love for everyone. This is kind of a brash fragrance. If you've smelled the original, you'll probably love this. If you don't like cumin, good luck with this one. But oh my gosh, cardamom, this very natural smelling, fresh, spicy, kind of in your face cardamom with a little bit of bitter orange. So there is a prominent bitter quality, not juicy in its citrus quality, not overly fresh, but definitely this citric quality, but that is backed by leather and resins. Kind of like the way it looks, there is this brown, ambery, resinous sweetness to it that does not smell edible or overly sweet, and the leather here is pretty amped up to give it this slightly rough base, but the cumin note might rub some of you the wrong way. It's dry, it's perhaps a little bit stuffy, and some people say it smells stinky. I don't get the stink at all. It smells super classy, super confident. This is night out stuff in the fall and winter. This is very masculine. This is unapologetic, but so elegant. All right, that was so much fun. I want to know what you think again of these fragrances down in the comments. Let me know if you find these to be very interesting and unique. There's going to be links to everything I've talked about down in the description if you have yet to try any of these fragrances. And most importantly, thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.